Welcome to Paul Finck and the Mavericks Do It Different podcast. This is all about how to do it different, how to create a different result, how to create a different world for you by doing things different, acting different, being different, thinking different, all the components that create the life that you want. And today I am privileged to have a great guest here with us, somebody that I've known for years and years and years. We hesitate to say how long, and someone that duly respect and talk about some of our journey together and what I've honored with him over the years and some of what his success has been all about. An author, a mentor, someone who is known in multiple different industries, New York Times bestseller, and I believe 9 times New York Times bestseller, if I've got the number right, might be beyond that at this point. Started off #1 New York Times bestseller, Nothing Down, How to Buy Real Estate with Little or No Money Down, which was the largest selling in real estate investment book history. I've got that book. That was, and I highlight that all the time for my clients and everybody that I work with. Just amazing, and known as being a great writer, a great author, a great inspirer, and someone who knows how to create a difference in the world on both a personal, professional level, real estate, how to write, all of the above. Please welcome honored guest, Robert Allen. Such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much, Paul. We met each other, I think, physically. Was it on Necker Island?
It was indeed. We were both guests there of a friend of ours.
Yeah.
And we connected, and you were there with your wife. I was there with mine, which is always a pleasure. I will tell you, and I didn't bring this up before because I wanted to bring this up live in talking about it, is that I don't know whether we've ever talked about the fact that I actually got introduced to you probably many years earlier. It was probably a decade earlier.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Okay. I am a product of the product. I bought all the books that were in the New York Times bestseller, as well as your courses early on, and it's one of the things that propelled me in real estate when I first got started. I was a young pup and going, how do I do this? And you at the time were like larger than life, one of the key players in the marketplace. Tell us a little bit about that journey and how you got started, and what were some of those beginning years like?
I graduated from BYU with a master's in business. I graduated in the 1/3 of my class that made the top 2/3 possible. No one would hire me. Was a very bad recession during that particular year. Nobody was hired. Well, everyone else got hired except for 2 of us. And I decided, well, if they're not going to hire me, I can do what I really want to do, which is become a millionaire. So I'd read some books on real estate investing and Think and Grow Rich. I'd read that book. So I thought, that's what I'll just do. I'll just think and I'll grow rich. So I bought my first property with $1,000. And that's the rest is history. Made my first million in 3-4 years. And then I decided to write a book about it. And that became the #1 New York Times bestseller, Nothing Down, which is How to Buy Real Estate with Little or No Money Down. And that followed up by Creating Wealth, also #1 New York Times bestseller. Both have sold over 1 million copies. And I did a lot of real estate. That made my first million. But you know what? I tell you the truth. When I started receiving stories of people who'd read my books and told me that it had changed their life, I never really got that. I just thought I was writing a book and maybe make a little money from the royalties. But when I started getting these success stories, it changed my life, because I began to realize that information is transformative. And so I've often said I'd rather fix up a human being than a piece of real estate any day. Ooh. So I've been doing that ever since. I teach seminars and coach and things of that nature for the last 40 years, really, 40, 45 years, because I love it. I like to create success stories. And I don't, frankly, like to buy real estate anymore. I don't do a lot of it, to tell you the truth. I teach other people how to do it because I want to invest every ounce of my energy in creating success stories. And so that's what I do. So that's why we're here. Why
Yeah.
I'm 74 years old, 363 days old. So why have I been doing this for many years and probably until my last breath? I want to teach people how to win at life.
That's so amazing. And I resonate so much with that. I did the same journey where I started off doing real estate, and yet my real passion is the coaching and training and
Yeah,
help others. How old were you when you wrote No Money Down?
I was 30, I think. It came out in 80, so I was 32. It came out in
Wow.
1990. I started teaching seminars on it, a couple years earlier, so about 30-ish. And then the
Yep.
book came out in 80, and then Creating Wealth came out 82. So I mean, that's been 40 years now. I still get checks, I still get royalties from these crazy books. I like the word royalty, don't you? Royalty.
Love that. And one of the things that resonates is also that when you got started, it wasn't about you were the superstar, you were the golden child, you were the one who was top of the class, got all the A's, got all the accolades, captain of this or that, and that is very common. We talk about what builds success, and it's that early success isn't necessarily the indicator for the rest of your life. What shifted? Like you said, oh, well, they weren't going to hire you, so you just went and did it yourself.
Yeah.
What was your motivation to get your million? What was your motivation to create?
Entrepreneurs, of which I am in that class, there are about 15% of us are entrepreneurs, about 85% of us are employees. So an employee-minded person is security-oriented. An entrepreneur is freedom-oriented. So I was working in my MBA class to become an employee, to be working at somebody else's career and having the safety and security and long-time retirement, right? But when they wouldn't hire me, the reason they wouldn't hire me is because as they did their little testing, their little psychological testing on people, they could tell I was going to be the lousiest employee they'd ever have, because I was just a natural entrepreneur. I wanted to take risks. I wanted to do all kinds of crazy things because freedom was my number one driver. And so they wouldn't hire me because of that. Now, I didn't know that at the time. I was really very discouraged when I got my 30 rejection letters from the 30 major corporations in the world. And I got all these letters. I laid them on my bed, and I was for about a week. I thought my life is over. I spent 6 years in college getting a degree, and no one's going to hire me. What's going to happen? And then my entrepreneur kicked in, and my entrepreneur. When somebody tells an entrepreneur that they can't do it, the entrepreneur comes back almost immediately and goes, "Well, watch me. I'm going to do it just because you told me I can't do it."
Right.
So,
Welcome to the Maverick universe. Yeah. The Maverick mentality of, hey, screw you, I'm going for it.
That's right. So I looked at all these 30 letters, and I never forget to this day looking at those letters, and I got really upset. I said, who are these people? Who are these people that signed these letters? They're employees. They're working I don't want to be an employee, really. I want to be a millionaire. So I said, one day I'll earn more money than all 30 of these people combined, which I have done, by the way, because I was pissed. And that was my motivation. I have to prove these people wrong. And I heard that story 1,000 times since. When somebody tells that entrepreneur that you can't do it, something inside them just goes, So I bought my first property within like a couple of months after graduation. I didn't have a job. I didn't have any credit. I don't have any cash flow. I didn't have any assets. I had $1,000 to my name. I put that down on a piece of real estate. I turned it into $6,000 within a couple of weeks. Then I bought a 7-unit building and I turned that into, $20,000 another, 6 months. And then I bought a 12-unit building and another 12-unit building and another 40-unit building and, 10 units and houses and all that stuff. So was the beginning of my story.
And you built all this success. And I know so many of, when I talked to you, and when I remember one of our first conversations, and I asked you something along the lines of, who are you? And you said, I'm an author. I'm a writer. I write to inspire and to help others. And so many of your books have done that. I talk about 1 Minute Millionaire and talk about that story. And that's just, for me, that book is all about the concept of motivation is one of the underlying things. Because in that book, you talk about, well, what motivates someone to create the million? Here's a catalyst. The children are being taken away. Catalyst to create that. Could you be in that same space and create it in 90 days? What is there a way? Like, you had that fire, you got pissed. What can we teach or share with the people? We've got people listening all around the world to help them. I don't know. Is it get pissed? Is that the message?
No, that can be one thing. So you're either motivated by moving towards a dream or moving away from a fear. So I had both. Moving away from these people who said I couldn't succeed. So it was actually it pushed me to keep kind of prove them wrong. That's moving away from. Moving towards is the NLP language. Moving towards is what do I want? What do I really want? And so I'll tell you what I wanted. I wanted to be a millionaire, and I didn't even know what that really meant, to tell you the truth. I would, every time I bought a property, I literally would figure out my net worth statement. What was my equity on each of these properties I was buying? It was 20 plus 30 plus 40 plus 10 plus 16 plus 42. And I would add up to be 119,000, and then the next time I did it, it would be 212,000. The next time I did it, a year later, it would be like 419,000, So I tracked it. I watched it until I popped above equity wise, not cash flow wise, but equity wise, a million. I became a millionaire. So I checked that off my list. I did that. And then it was just like, how do I add more zeros? How do you make it 10 million? How do you make it 100 million?
Right.
So the million was the first one. And so in a book I want to give everybody who was on our webinar here, you're going to send it to success@robertallen.com. You want to be successful, so you send it success@robertallen.com. And I want to send you this book. It's a digital book. This is what it looks like. Can you see that, Paul?
We can. Perfect.
Okay, so the 4 maps of happy successful people. As I go back over my career of 40 plus years, the times when it really worked it's all mindset, frankly. And how do you organize your mindset so that you can go do the system things that you want to do? Real estate is a system. Yes. Stock market is a system. Like with my book, Multiple Streams of Income, there are 10 systems in there on how to make money, but there's nothing in this book about mindset. And yet mindset is everything. If you don't have the right mindset, it doesn't matter what kind of system I teach you, right? So you got to have the right mindset. And I taught, millions of people the systems of making money without having taught them much about the mindset, because honestly, I had the mindset myself. It was just kind of natural to me, and therefore I wasn't afraid. I just did stuff, and where most people get stuck and they get afraid. So I said, what do I need to teach people how to get the mindset, which was the book 4 Maps, and it's 4 fundamental maps you draw every day for at least 90 days. So it drives the habits deep into your heart. And it's my gift to all of my friends. You please just send it to me. Just say in the tagline, please send me 4 maps, and I will attach to the email that you send to me a copy of the digital copy of the book, and therefore I'll know what your email address is. You'll go into my database for doing that. But the bottom line is you get a copy of this 4 Maps book, which is 40 years of my life condensed into 150 pages of the 4 fundamental skills you need. Now, skill number 1 is clarity. And what that means is you must get really clear on what you want. I was really clear on what I wanted. I wanted to make money in real estate, and I wanted to be a millionaire in real estate. And I didn't have any money, and I didn't have any cash or credit or any of that stuff. I just had a driving dream, and moving away from these people I wanted to prove wrong and moving towards the things I really wanted. And those 2 motivations were important to me. Clarity means, well, let me show you the map. Here we go. Let me show that map to you again. The book. Let's see, where did I put it? There it is. So the first map that you draw, this is the actual digital book you're going to get a copy of. The first map looks like this. It's clarity. See that little stick figure? See that little frowny face down there? You can draw.
Absolutely.
And this is the smiley face with the 4 fundamental aspects of an ideal life. They've got money. That's why that symbol is a dollar bill. They've got health. That's why that stick figure of a body. They've got love in their life, and they got free time. And if you have those 4 things, your life is usually pretty ideal. And so the question is, how do I get from this life, the frowny face life, to the smiley face life? And I give you a 5-year trajectory on how to get there. And when you draw this map, you got to tell me, what are the 3 fundamental things you really want? 5 years from now, what is non-negotiable in your life? This must happen. What is a priority in your life? Because when you say a priority, people will tell me all the time, well, my family's a priority, or my health is a priority, or my relationships are a priority. And I'll say, well, yesterday, did you do anything about those priorities? And they'll go, well, no, I actually didn't I didn't exercise yesterday, and I didn't eat right yesterday. And then I say, well, then it wasn't a priority, was it? Because priority means prior to anything else. You do what's important to you prior. So on a day, and you change your life a day at a time, by the way, so anybody can change their life on a day at a time. What is so important to you that you will do it that day prior to anything else? And then you get it done. And if it's your dream is to make money in real estate and you got a full-time job, well, then somehow during that day, you must do something about that long-term 5-year goal from now. If that's what if you really want financial freedom, it's a daily thing. It's not something you do it on a weekly basis once a time. So no, it's daily, and it's a priority. And if it's not prior to everything else, then you really weren't important. It wasn't important to you. So the first map is about getting really clear on 7 questions. What do I really want? 5 years from today, what is non-negotiable to me? Number 2, where do I want that to happen? Where do I want to live 5 years from now? What's my dream house look like? What am I doing at that time? Where am I living? Another one is how much? I know what I want, but how much do I want? That must be a number to it. If there are no numbers attached to your goals, they're not priorities, because your brain is a computer and it needs a number. No numbers, no result. Your brain needs to calculate it. So, okay, you want to be financially free? How much is that? People tell me all the time, I want to be financially free, And I go, what does that mean? And they go, well, where I don't have any worry about money. I say, well, how much money are we talking about here? What are your bills right now? How much do you need to be free right now? Like your house is paid for, your rent is paid for, your car is paid for, your food's paid for, your whatever. All your budget, it's done. It's free. Money flows in without you working. How much is that? And they always come up with big numbers like 100,000 a month or 200,000 a month, And I go, I can guarantee that ain't going to happen, because you're not thinking realistically. You say, well, you're not supposed to think realistically when you set your goals. You're supposed to be this big, hairy ass goals, BHAGs, big.
Right.
And I go, before you set a BHAG, set a realistic, like, this is what I really need in order to be funny. If I could get this amount of money, that would set me free.
Right.
And therefore, I need to live that kind of lifestyle where I'm not going out and buying fancy cars and houses and watches and everything else and overspending it. We all overspend. So where you are literally willing to live a modest lifestyle until you hit your financial freedom goal. So anyway, how much do I need? Who is going to help me get it? And who's going to benefit when I do? That's a who question. How, when, where, who, why do you want this? Why do you want to be? Now for me, I want to be a millionaire. Why? I frankly don't know. I just knew it was non-negotiable. And even today, I still really don't know. I just kind of like it. It's kind of nice. Kind of nice to be financially.
Better than the alternative, I tell you.
Yeah. It's nice. But and then finally, there's 7 questions. So the final question is, okay, how are we going to pull that off? So the first 6 questions are mindset questions. The 7th question is a system question. And most people always go to the system question first because they don't have a successful mindset. And therefore, they're always asking themselves, well, how am I going to do this?
Right.
Instead of asking, what do I really want? Because once you tell your brain what you really want, your brain now becomes a heat-seeking missile. And therefore, as you look out at the world, you're watching television, you go to watching a movie, you're talking to people, you're at a seminar, whatever, you now are honed in on the reason that I'm even existing at this point is to make sure that happens in my life. And therefore, it's non-negotiable. So now there are personal things that you do, there are families that you raise, there's your spiritual values. Those things are fundamental to every day. I'm talking about projects for money-making projects. Obviously you want your family to be successful. So that's number 1, right? For me, God is number 1. That's what I do every day. This morning when I got up at 5 o'clock, I'm reading my scriptures. I'm praying. That's what I do. Why? Because it's a priority to me. Then I'm thinking about my family. That's second on the list. Then I'm talking about projects. That's why this is a project. We're talking money stuff now. So it's later on in the day that I checked off the list before we talked. And I did that because I had a car accident in 2003. And I woke up in the hospital and I said to myself, oh my gosh, I could have died last night. I should have died last night. If I had met my maker last night, would I have been able to say that I had put him first, that he was a priority in my life? The answer was no. No, I would have said, yeah, I've been really busy. See, it wasn't a priority. Oh yeah, I went to church regularly. I had my spiritual values. I read from time to time, the scriptures that are important to me. But the truth was, no, he wasn't a priority. And I said to myself, because of that car accident, 20 years ago, this March 15th, 20 years ago, I will never start a day again without making sure I check that off my to-do list. And there might have been a handful of days I missed in 20 years, but very, very few. And what I'm saying is I'm sharing with you my spiritual values or my values. They may not be yours, but what I'm trying to teach you is whatever is important to you needs to be done every day, because a day is a metaphor for your entire life. You wake up in the morning, the sun comes up, you get born. You go to bed at night, the sun goes down, you die. A day is the metaphor for your entire life. And therefore you need to live that day as if it is your entire life. And what you do that day is saying to everyone around you, this is important to me. this is my life. This is what I do. Now, right now, you and I are talking, Paul. Why am I doing this? Because it's important to me.
Right.
You asked me to be part of this podcast. I got other things I could do, Paul. I got other things I could do. Well, why am I talking to you right now? Because it's priority to me.
Right.
To teach this, to share the lessons I've learned, is part of my reason for breathing. So I'm not going to say no to you. I'm going to say, yeah, let's do it, And I want to give away a copy of this book because I know it'll change many people's lives. And you'll be on my database, so you'll hear about other things I'm doing later on. But the point is, if we never talk again, everybody, you need to send an email to success@robertallen.com and let me send you a copy of this book. And it's my gift to you because I believe it'll change your life.
I highly recommend it with all the writings. And I haven't read this book, so I'm getting on that list right away.
And success@robertallen.com.
And so much of what you teach resonates. And one of the couple things I want to highlight. One is recognize that for everyone that's listening, that, and it's something that I honor with you and look to step into that role every day. And that is be the walking, talking example of what I teach.
Yeah.
And so that when people want to know what does it look like, they can come and hang out and see what it looks like. And that's what, from early on, you talked about this and you said, oh, well, you've got to track it and look at all the numbers. And then your first real estate go around, what did you do? You tracked all the numbers and you tracked all that to measure, not for the accolades, right? But to see, all right, I want to be a millionaire. There's the track, there's the proof. I got it. This was my criteria. This is how I was going to measure it. And I tracked it all out. I actually remember putting that same exact spreadsheet together for myself when I first got started. And I was like, all of a sudden having flashbacks. Yeah, so profound. And then the morning ritual and the priorities and understanding every day. It's not about skipping holidays or skipping your birthday or, oh, well, here's a question for you. When people say, oh, well, what do you do in when's your downtime? Come on, like, what's your downtime? When's your time off? Like all this every day, every way. It sounds exhausting. When do you just give yourself a break?
Are you asking me that question?
What's your answer to that?
Well, it follows from my relationship with my wife. We kind of made an agreement right early in our marriage because she had a father that wasn't present a lot. And she said, I don't want that kind of relationship. My husband's got to be present in our family. So she made a deal with me. She said, you quit around 6 and you give the weekends to me and I'll stay married to you.
That's nice. So you saying that's your downtime?
Yeah. And my downtime, well, since I speak a lot around the world, then when we go together. Like we just got back from, I spoke in Italy to a group of about 4,000 people, and it was very wonderful. I got to spread a message of enlightened entrepreneurship is what I call it. And it's my way of introducing enlightened concepts. But most people, when they think money and enlightened, they don't go together. That's an oxymoron. Well, the book, The 1 Minute Millionaire, is the subtitle is The Enlightened Way to Wealth. And that means, yeah, you want to make money, but money is not the object. The object of the money is to be able to give a lot of it away. And to be honest and ethical in what you do, and to have spiritual values, whatever they are to you. People who are gravitate to me will not be offended when I mention my spiritual values. I don't get really specific about my spiritual values. I say, when I'm talking to an audience in China, for instance, I'll ask them, these Chinese, most of them have been raised to be atheists. And I'll ask the audience, I said, how many of you believe in a higher power? I'm using a very generic word. And 90% of the people raise their hands to that question. And they've been trained for 80 years to be atheistic. And yet they know there's a higher power. And I'll say, I won't get specific. I said, we all believe in a higher power at the wholesale level. It's at the retail level where things get a little confusing. There's all kinds of different paths,
Right.
Up this mountain. And I believe there's a true path personally, but I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to say,
Right.
whatever you think the path is important to you, but I think you need to acknowledge that. And I think, because how powerful is higher power? When you think about it, how powerful is higher power? Does higher power know? Today we're shooting this on a Wednesday. Does a higher power know which stocks are going to go up tomorrow on Thursday? Or does higher power not know that? And I'll ask the audience, and I'll get about a third to say, no, higher power doesn't know that. Nobody knows that. And about 2/3 will say, never thought of it, but yeah, he probably does. Probably does. Okay, does higher power know where all the real estate deals are right now?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he does. Yeah. Right now, this very second, he knows where all the unbelievable, incredible real estate deals are right now. Does a higher power know where all the good business ideas are? The new things coming up, like Chat GPT and all that stuff. Does the higher power, did he know that before last November when Chat GPT became really public? And the answer is, oh yeah, higher power knew that. Then why wouldn't you put higher power on your board of directors and say, listen, I tell you what, when I earn any money at all, you get the first 10%. Where do you want me to give it? Which church, which cause, charity, philanthropy, where do you want me to give it? The first 10% goes to you. Where do you want it? And that's called first giver. Be a first giver, not a last giver. Most of us are last givers. We paid for the car and everything, all little deal. Then we took that trip to Europe, and then, there was like $1,000 left over. Okay, you get the 1,000. No. Check arrives in your mailbox. Or
I want to talk to you about that concept. So I remember this question came up years ago when we were talking, and we were running, kind of having a group therapy session with a mastermind group. Yeah. And you were facilitating the conversation at the time. And there were some questions around this. And you mentioned about giving to yourself was the second 10%.
Yeah.
And I've shared that message over the years. Now it's been, I think it's been like 15 years. I've shared that message, and people get confused. Like, what does that mean? That second 10% that you give to yourself, first 10% to higher power, to the charity, to the world. And second 10% to you. What does that really mean?
Well, it means you are saving the money that flows into your life first, basically second. The richest man in Babylon, basically, he says you should pay yourself first, and then you live on the rest. I say, you pay higher power first.
Right.
Then you pay yourself second. Then you go spend on whatever else you want to do. Probably IRS would be third, right?
So and people go, but wait, I've got to pay the electric bill.
Yeah, because you lived yourself into a standard of living that didn't require giving or saving, and therefore you have to change your lifestyle in order to do that. Now, did I do that? Let's get really honest here.
Yeah.
No, I didn't do that. I did my giving part, but until my accident, I really I paid my tithing like I pay my taxes. You increase your expenses and you lower your income to pay the lowest amount you can, right? So I paid it, but it was not really like
priority.
It wasn't, yeah. Well, it was a priority, but I just fudged a little here and there. But no, since my car accident.
Oh, I hear you loud and clear. The other component, though, is that I actually have been in this situation. And when I was first coming up and hard times hit, it was I paid myself first before my electric bill. And I talked about that and told people, there are periods of time where looking at your bills, they will be there tomorrow. Focus in on your future and I'm paying yourself and paying your future before you pay those people.
Yeah. It's hard to learn. I wish I had done that, frankly, in the early part of my life, as I did not have that habit. And so, many, many, many millions of dollars have gone through my fingers. And I just wish I could go rewind it about 40 years and just put 10% away for me.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
But I didn't.
Well, it's one of those things. If only I bought
till later on in my life.
Right.
So, this is a habit I wish everyone would do. I think it's the greatest secret to wealth. That giving first is the greatest secret I could teach anybody, because I'm not saying that it's an investment. I got to be careful about this, because people usually, when they go to some Christian churches, they teach, if you pay your tithing, if you pay your giving, you pay the church, whatever, that you'll be hundredfolded. That, by giving to that. And the answer, the truth of the matter is, yeah, that does happen, but you don't do it because of that. You do it because you've already been hundredfolded. You've already been blessed. So beyond, you already are the richest people in the history of the world. Us now, really, no matter where we are in this country, we are the richest people in the history of the world, the top 1% of the history of the world. We are so blessed, it's ridiculous. And we see someone else's fancy car and we feel jealous, but hey, come on. So you don't pay your giving. You don't give because, please God, please bless me with 100-fold more. No, you give because you've already been given. You already got it. You don't expect any more. And if you get any more, you get more to give, not more to get. You don't get to give. No, I'm sorry, you don't get to get. But you don't give to get. You
Right.
give. And that's a totally radically different concept. That's what I call enlightened wealth.
Simply amazing, and so many aspects of this conversation for people to focus in on. One, walk your talk. Two, track what you want, have that clarity of mind of where you're going, and understand the priorities in your life will show up every day of your life. What you focus on expands, and every day you're focused on your priorities, whether consciously or unconsciously, you're focused on your priorities. And that is such a profound message to look back. What you do yesterday, is that what you're claiming to be your priority of your future?
Yeah.
And when you recognize that, you'll change today and every day thereafter to readjust.
Eventually, but it doesn't show up too immediately. It's like compound interest. The growth of compound interest is very slow at first, but once you build the habit up, then it starts to go exponential. But there's a long period of time where it doesn't look like anything's happening.
Yeah.
Looks like, hey, I'm supposed to be rich by now, and then I'm into it 8 years now. What's the deal? And then blows up, right?
So for everyone that's listening, we're talking to Robert Allen. Robert Allen is best-selling author, absolutely has a great gift, and we've talked about that already, and we'll highlight that again in just a moment. And with all that you've done, you get to those moments, and you were just talking about, man, you're great at being grounded. Your honest talk, straightforward, down-to-earth style has always been attractive to the world. And you talk real. And the real part is, as an entrepreneur, we go through the process step by step by step by step. And then we look around, we're like, all right, our life's friggin' the same. So what's the message? How do they know, as they've gone through the journey, that they're on the right track if they don't see the proof of the pudding, if you will, in front of them immediately? How do they know they're in the right track, and what should they be doing to keep going forward internally, externally?
Well, the answer to that question is, let me go back to my little book here.
Did I set up our book?
Oh, you did.
Excellent.
You set it up just perfectly. Yep.
And for although while I was looking for the book, recognize I haven't read the book yet. This is
It's okay.
brand new stuff that we're all getting and receiving now. And two is this is a clear, real question that I get on a regular basis. How do you know?
Yeah, the way you know is the four habits. First habit is you got to know what you want. That's clarity. Anticipation is realizing that it's not going to be as easy as you thought. And therefore, most people never get to that point because they go off and try to make some money and they fail a little bit at it. They're not ready to fail because they were living their dream. And then they have a nightmare and they are not willing, they don't go through the nightmare. So anticipation is a second skill. Third one is ritual. You mentioned that word. That means what do you do on a daily basis to prepare yourself? And the fourth one is what I call task. And this is the left brain part. The right brain is dreaming. That's easy. Everybody can dream. That's easy to do. But the fourth skill, and I'll show you that map right here. I'm scanning it here. Here's the fourth. This is what the fourth skill looks like.
Highlight that.
So
Full screen.
This guy right here is what are my three projects? What are three non-negotiables for me? And in 5 years from now, I want to know what they are, and I want to know the numbers of them. So I go back to the 1 year done. A done is how do I break down the 5-year objective into a 1 year done? I use the word done. I don't use the word goal. Goals are weak. They're weak. They're weak words. Goals mean you hope they happen, and most of our goals don't. So I don't use that word. I use the word done. If I'm going to say that it will be done in 1 year, it is done because my word is on the line. So I only select stepping stones to the big objective, things that must get done in the next year. And so therefore I'm tracking my project progress. And then my must means the same project number 1 here. This is my 1 year done. This is my 1 day must. Today I must do a little tiny baby step so that my 1 year, objective, my done gets done. It's not pushing it off always into the future, procrastinating it away. And therefore my ideal actually happens. It becomes realistic. So the how I know it gets done is I'm doing these little tiny baby steps, and I don't expect to see a result immediately, but I'm compound interesting it. Little tiny little baby steps every single day for 365 days until I get what I said I would do. So this is how you track it every day. You literally draw that map. And so eventually, drawing this for 90 days straight, you finally go, do I really want this thing I said that was non-negotiable? Yeah, and usually when you're writing it down every day, you go, maybe I really don't want that, to tell you the truth. It kind of was a wish, but what I really would rather have is, and so what Brian Tracy taught me, the writing it down every day project. He writes his goals down every day. And I draw my goals every day, my dones every day, my musts, right? I draw them until they finally become so ingrained in you, you just kind of know what it is you want because you've been very clear, you've written it down, right? And you've reversed engineered it so if I did this little thing today, I'll get this thing in a year, and if I get this thing in a year, then I'll probably, if I do that year after year after year, I'm going to get what I really wanted. So
when you get those days, then you say, no, this isn't what I want. I realize that now. What do you do?
Well, I like Steve Jobs. He said every year he'd have a meeting with his company, 5,000 people. Who are the top 100 in his company? He says, if the company goes down, these are the 100 I'm going to put in the lifeboat with me. And then he'd meet with them on a retreat every year. And he'd say, what should Apple do next year? And they'd write a list of 20 things that they should do and narrowed it down to 10 projects, things they could work on. How to take Apple to the next level. What new project should they add? Should it be an iPad? Should it be, an iPhone? What should it be? And then they would fight and argue over the list of priorities until they get to 10. And then he would take a pen at the end of the event and cross out the bottom 7. And he said, we can only do these 3. And then he would refuse to let them do the other 7. And he says, we need to focus. So you focus on the 3 that are your 3 major projects, but you always have a list in the secondary waiting list, 4, 5, 6, 7, And so eventually you'll either accomplish one of those 3 and you cross it off your list, and then for number 4 becomes number 3, or you'll go, you know what? I really don't want number 3. It's really not that important to me. And I think I'd rather have number 4. So you cross number 3 off and you replace it with number 4. So you always have these intuitive things like, I could do this, I could do that. Entrepreneurs, they have, multiple entrepreneurial ideas all the time. The problem is they get distracted with whole bunches of them instead of being Apple oriented. Well, no, we only do these 3, and it's got to be insanely great. If it's not insanely great, it doesn't belong at Apple. And that's why Apple is the most valuable company in the history of the world.
It's amazing. And the concepts that you're bringing to the forefront are concepts that you're pulling from some of the great modern people of our time and bringing it to the forefront for living your life. And that's a great lesson to follow in all this as well. And thank you so much for that. What's
okay, my time is running out here.
Yes. What's next? What's your next big rock? What's your number 1, 2, and 3 that maybe we can support you with or watch as you journey through this?
Well, number 1 for me, I like to teach people how to write best-selling books. And it's the thing my real estate coaching, I had maybe 200 coaches that would people teach tens of thousands of people we've coached, none of which I coached myself. 0. And it was $20,000, $30,000 worth of coaching programs that we would market. But it was because I'm not passionate about real estate coaching. I very rarely do much of it anymore. But what I'm passionate about is working one-on-one with people to get the book out of them and get them into a form that makes it a bestseller. So I like to do that. I'll be teaching we call it a summit, the best-selling author summit. So if you go to success@robertallen.com and you order that, get that free book, I'll be letting you know on my database, hey, the summit's happening, and it'll be free. So you're welcome to watch it. It'll be 2 days of free content of me teaching you what I've learned in 50 years of how to create a best-selling book, how to become a #1 New York Times bestseller. And I can tell you one thing, you do have a book in you. You know you do.
Here.
You've always wanted to write it, but you maybe didn't know how, or you wrote it and nobody saw it because you didn't know how to write it. There are 12 stupid mistakes that all best-selling authors make. And if you want to know what those 12 stupid mistakes are, then just put that in the email to me. Say, send me the 12 stupid mistakes. And you'll be able to read what those stupid mistakes are. And then I'll teach you in the summit how you can know more about how we can work together, or how you can have a digital way of learning. I've recorded videos you can watch. But that's project number 1 for me, frankly. I like it. And I'm, build a whole business around that. And then I do my regular coaching with real estate people who market me. That's my licensing programs where you go on to social media, and there are 30 million views last year.
Everywhere.
And so I teach all that stuff is on social media, and all of them you can find Robert Allen. It's either Nothing Down Robert Allen or Creating Wealth Robert Allen. And all the videos, I've shot it all. You can watch them all. And if you want to get other free stuff from me, then just sign up and we'll send you stuff, right? So that's part of my purpose in life. So that happens. And those are two big ones, frankly.
Absolutely. Everyone listening in, go to success@robertallen.com. Success@robertallen.com. Ask for the book. Ask for the big mistakes that you make as a author or writer to create your bestseller. He is the king of writing and creating best-selling books. Every one of them just drives to the top of the true New York Times bestseller list over and over and over again. I've witnessed this over the decades that I've been involved in this industry. And it's just been an honor to have you here, Robert. Just a pleasure. And looking forward to doing more. I look forward to being there in the room as well at your events and being a part of all this and continuing our journey together. And thank you so much.
See you, Paul. See everybody. Have a great life. Get that free book. I think it'll change the way you look at the world.
You absolutely. He's giving you his email. Use it, use it, use it. For all of you out there, we're on a journey together. Continue to tap in, continue to share. Listen to this week's episode over and over and over again. There were so many nuggets in it. So I want you to listen to it over and over again. It's there for you. Mavericks Do It Different podcast. Really appreciate you sharing, liking, commenting, giving us a review, 5-starring it to death. This is really key, getting the words out there, because we want to share everything that we have with all of you and everybody that we know to increase our community every single day. Robert Allen, thank you so much.
Everybody, God bless. Bye-bye.
Take care now, everyone.
Thanks for being here today. As our gift to you, be sure to go to themaverickuniverse.com, where you can download your free copy of the Maverick Manifesto. Until next time, dare to be different. Dare to be a Maverick.